Hey everybody, welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips. It's me, your host, Ann, and disembodied Ann's Quindy. And John, and not Justin. Ex-Justin? Non-Justin? Non-Justin Justin. And, well, Kiki brought me her bully stick, but she seems to have vacated, so maybe we'll get Kiki sighting later. Okay, who's panicking about ReaperCon? Come on now, you can always go back up to your hotel room. You can always flee. We will not think less of you if you flee. We're all introverts here. Well, okay, almost all of us are introverts here. Many of us are introverts here. Let's make generalization statements. There we go, Ann. That's good. Looking. Happy Friday, yes. Happy Friday, Twisted Oma. Packing or getting ready for ReaperCon. Panic and complete zen. That's where I am, Quindy. You should see my list. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah. Too late to worry anymore. Panic hand. Yep. I have a great con. I hate you anyway. Aww. Oh, yes. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm bringing my dog with me is giving me panic. Oh, ReaperCon t-shirts are on sale, huh? Well, that's a good. I might get an extra one. I have one. Non-Justin Justin is your fave? Alright, non-Justin Justin. We normally he's a ghost or a spirit, but I decided to make him non-Justin Justin today. It's because it's very mini painter. Very mini painter. Yeah, puppy noises. She's around. My brother Dave get a pretty good imitation of non-Justin Justin last night. Awesome. Hey, Papa, come on up. You want to see peoples? Do you want to see the peoples? No, not in the mood. Kiki says, I'm also suffering pre-con panic, mostly because Mommy's running around like a crazy person. Am I running around like a crazy person? Yeah, wow. Do you want to come up and say, hold on, maybe I can get a papa up on a chair. You want to come up? Yay! There we go. There's your Kiki, everybody. Hey. There's your Kiki. There's my girl. Hi, how you doing, baby girl? Yeah, such a good girl. Yeah. Such a good girl with a smile. Yeah. Good girl. The marketing department has come. Yes. Good girl. Good wags. All right. Mama's going to work now. Now, if you're nice, you can stay in here. If you're nice, you can stay. Okay? Or you can take your bully stick and run away. Oh, boy. Oh, yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully, Curry Michael. I mean, it's good for them if you can manage it, like, just to have some time away from you, just so that they learn to adjust, but it can be really hard. I totally get it. I'm gonna be a wreck when we leave Kiki in the hands of our house sitter, dog sitter, in October for Hawaii. But there's no way to bring the dog to Hawaii, so. Yep. For sure. Fixed a broken giveaway last night, but I didn't want to confuse him. Oh no. Yep. Well, thanks guys. Oh, and Quindy, take your allergy pill. Pardon me, guys. Ugh. It's so freaking humid here. Like, it's even nice today. Like, it's going to be 80 instead of 90. But it's, like, so humid. Like, I just feel it in the air. When you're sweating and it's only in the 70s, it's like the humidity is coming to eat you. I have to check. I can't resist it. 72% humidity. Seriously? Going to Barstow, California, which is south and inland on my way to Flagstaff, Barstow at 104 is probably going to be nicer than here at 80. Because it's just going to be like really low humidity because it's out in the desert. Aw, yeah. Till you leave, Carrie Michael. Well, yeah, it is what it is. I'm sorry. I'm sorry your kitty gets so stressed. Because it's stress on the human too, right? I do get it. Ugh. Yuck. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm happy that it's like cooler and it'll be much nicer to take Kiki for a walk. We have a cloudy morning, it's supposed to be sunny later, so the house should stay cooler as well, which would be nice. But yeah, woof, woof, woof. So, all of the stuff, all the promo stuff hit for East of the Sun yesterday. Well, okay, the first part of the promo stuff for East of the Sun. And at first I thought it really just wasn't working, but that's just because you can't you can't trust the Amazon dashboard at all. But both East of the Sun and West of the Moon yesterday hit the top 30,000, above the top 30,000 in the Amazon store. And in a store with 10 million plus books, that's pretty darn good. In fact, it did better. East of the Sun is currently doing better than its original launch. So that is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. And West of the Moon also doing well because all you guys are awesome. But I'm hoping that what happens now is now that we have like 2 books, maybe the people who got East of the Sun will go and pick up West of the Moon, in like a month or whatever they finish reading it. A year. Who knows how long it'll take them, right? How long it takes me a while. Like I tend to buy books in batches because like I picked up a whole bunch of books, like at least 5 or 6, like for this trip because I know I'm going to be in hotel rooms. A couple of the days are shorter, so I'm going to be reading at night in the hotel, and so I picked up like 5 or 6 to catch up on authors that like I've been saving, So sometimes it takes me a week or 2 to get to a book that I just bought. Sometimes it'll take me longer. I would say if it takes me longer than a month or 2, it's going to sit there and languish. It's going to languish in my Kindle for a long time. Oh, good, Quindy. Yay! Sweet. I hope you enjoy it. It's a ride. It's a ride. That book is a ride. Lots of cool stuff in it, though. Lots of cool stuff. I have to get back to Derek about whether I'm okay with him doing a reading or not. I have to think about that in addition to my huge to-do list. That's the problem, is this all hits at once, right? Yeah, I read pretty quickly. Once I sit down with a book, I bust it out. The only thing keeping me reading not quickly is the fact that I just don't have a lot of time to read these days. Back when I was doing the treadmill every night, in my garage in Texas, because it was cooler than going out into the actual world, I got a lot of books. I got through a lot of books that way. Yes. And it was better than that yesterday. So we were firmly, I think it was 38. It was like up there. And East of the Sun is coming of age, children's coming of age is its category. East of the Sun hit number 2. Or no, did West of the Moon hit number 2 yesterday? I took screenshots. One of them hit. No. It was number 2 new release. West of the Moon was number 2 new release in children's coming of age yesterday. New release doesn't get you that coveted little bestseller tag. You have to hit number 1 in a real category, not a new release category. Otherwise, it's too easy. It's too easy to hit that because it's hard to hit number 1 in coming of age fantasy for children because you're competing against the Wizardversity. Which if I can outsell Ursula K. Le Guin at any point in my life, I am just going to stop and have a little party right there on the spot. I really admire her, and I read that book ages ago when I was like 12. It would be kind of cool to tag team, yeah. But yeah, so I'm pretty happy, and I still have 2 promos hitting. Probably smaller. The first one's going to be smaller, which is Fussy Librarian. But I really love them. They're just so nice. Like, these book promo people, they've all got huge mailing lists, and they break it down by genre, and you submit your book, and if they judge your book has a good cover, good blurb, good everything, and good reviews, they'll accept it, and then you pay a little money, and they send you out to their whole mailing list. That's how a promo site works. And Fussy Librarian is one of the smaller ones, but what I love about them is they always email you a few days before, and they're like, hey, your promo's coming up. Has anything changed? Should we update anything? Like all the other ones, they just kind of ignore you. Once they have your money, they ignore you. And I always appreciate Fussy Librarian. So I think if I subscribe to another, because I do actually, I'm on BookBub's list. I get a lot of books from BookBub and stuff. But yeah, so I was able to, it's Derek. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, Derek, is like throwing on a reading at this late date where I'm already stressing out and I'm already like I have a to-do list. Like my to-do list is a sheet of Bristol board and it's full. It's like Adrian's Reapercon whiteboard in miniature. It's like compressed. It still feels like a singularity. It's still huge. It's small, but it's huge. So yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. Right? So it's like, but I know if we did do it, if we did do a reading, Derek, I know what chapter I think I would have you read. So, and it's all, it's actually all guys. Like, I realized that after the fact, because I was like, oh, is it a female POV chapter? No. I don't know if you've read my books, Derek. Have you? I never heard if you had. If you haven't, it's cool. I don't judge anybody for not reading my books. YA fantasy is not for everyone. Although my mother, who never reads fantasy in her entire life, is reading my books. I'm kind of hoping, guys, this gets her into the genre. I would love it if my mom started reading YA fantasy. Oh, 90% through East. Oh, you're almost at the end of East. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, you've seen Adrian's whiteboard. It is pretty scary. Like, because the thing is, this is how I do it. Like, David has a static list for every trip. I just can't do that because, like, what I bring changes. It just depends. Is the dog coming with me? Is the dog not coming with me? What age is the dog? What state is the dog in? What state is my diet in? Do I have a freezer? Yes, I do this trip. That changes everything. So it's like, are we going to a warm climate? Are we going to a cold climate? It's just too many variables. So, like, I have a sheet of Bristol that I just keep on the table, and every time I think of something, like, I'll do my blowout list just straight out of my brain, and that'll be good. But then every time I think of something I would have forgotten, I write it down. So, like, by the time I'm ready to pack, I've got this immense, like, Adrian whiteboard-esque sheet of Bristol crammed full of stuff. But I don't forget crap. I don't forget it. So it's worth it for me. Oh, cool. Yay! Hey, Derek contributed to our awesome Amazon ranking by buying West of the Moon yesterday. Thanks, Derek. Yeah, go outside in 106-degree weather and play with Kiki. Well, I guess outside. Outside in the main room. Hi. Oh, you heard your name. Did you hear your name? Puppy dog. Dog pup. The rambunctious dog pup is how I put her now. That's how you are. You are a rambunctious dog pup. You think you're a dog, but you're really just a puppy. But out in the hallway where I like, but no, I have to listen to Derek because if Derek is like really good with my book, I might try to hire him as my voice actor for when we kickstart the audiobooks. Yeah, that's not gonna happen for a little while. But the more I think about it, the more I'm tempted to do that for the audio versions, by the way. We'd have to get a certain amount of audience first. Like, when I get a certain amount of sales and people, like, signed up to my mailing list and yada yada, then I would think about kickstarting it. Because we'd probably need, I don't even know. Like, Derek, you've done an audiobook recording. Like, what's the going rate for audio for a voice actor? Do you know? Yeah, we could do it. I think I like that better, Derek. I'm more likely, you know me, I'm kind of, like, with that stuff, I'm kind of spontaneous. It's like, we have time. You know what? F it, let's do it, is more like the way that it tends to happen. And, Pendrake is a puppy. Kiki's a puppy cleverly disguised as a wolf. Yeah, she does look wolfy. She definitely has that look. She's got the Shiloh look. But yeah, I know that it's expensive, so it's just like, but then the recording studio is also freaking expensive. He's a goober. Yeah, Kiki's a goober. Oh yeah, totally. All right, let's look at what we need to do for our model while we talk about all this crap. To pack for the compile. Good, Crowley, awesome. But yeah. Finished hour. Yeah, I was thinking. So the studio alone, the studio time alone, there's a nice studio out here in the Bay Area. I can't remember if it's in Oakland or Berkeley, but I contacted them and they're used by professional, like, New York publishers as well. So it's a pro thing, and they'll do all the post production, and they'll do, you know, they're cool with, they do all the things. Yeah, most they can. Yeah, I know. It's just finding somebody I trust, and that's just a lot of work. Like, it's like, I'm not real good with remembering names of readers, and I don't listen to fiction on audiobooks, so I'm not like, it's not like I have a set of favorites, you know. So that's difficult for me. Like, probably the thing to do would be to, like, ask if people have a favorite female audiobook narrator. And I'm not like absolutely 100% have to have a female, but obviously 2 out of my 3 mains are female. So I was like, well, I should probably go with a girl who can do a convincing guy instead of a guy who can do 2 convincing girls, right? I don't know. It's difficult when when you have 3 mains and they're different sexes. All right, let's see here. Leafs. What are you at? My leaves are pretty good. We got them to a decent state when we were painting the other day. Oh yeah, and that's going to cost me extra, Zachariah. Right. See, I really would like it top. If I'm going to do audio, okay. So here's my thought, Derek, and this is just Anne. If I'm going to do an audiobook, or 2, I'm going to have to do 2, right? Going to have to commit to both East of the Sun and West of the Moon. And West of the Moon is a chunk. It's bigger than East of the Sun by 30,000 words. So you just tacked on an additional 25% to costs, essentially. But if I'm going to do that, then, like, I want the professional studio. I don't want 2 audiobook narrators going from home, both of whom I have to pay top dollar, with possibly differing standards of audio. You know, I almost at that point want to just go the Kickstarter for like it'd have to be like a 12 grand goal or something, 12 or 15, because I'd want to bring people in, do it at the studio, do it all at the studio with the same production team, same directing, same like editing and producing team working on it, do it top notch for 12 grand. Yeah, that's the lady who was nice enough to talk with me, right? The romance writer. Well, everybody likes Will Wheaton. That's why he can demand top dollar. I mean, I just listened to a Will Wheaton. That was the only fiction audiobook I've listened to for ages was the new Cory Doctorow book, and that was Will. But it might not be right, like Twisted Oma. We want younger voices. Yeah. Yeah, she helped a lot, actually. I ended up, like... Even though romance is a little bit of a different game, I'll tell you that, with indie. Romance is the most popular genre, so it is a little bit easier to get eyes on your books. And it pays to be prolific, which I'm not really. YA fantasy, very different market from romance. Unless you're doing romantic fantasy, rom, whatever they call it these days. But yeah, it's just a little bit different, but she helped me a lot. All right, I need to work on, we've got a bit of a blorf there that we need to work on, that we got a bit of paint on that green cloak. But I'm pretty happy with the leaves, guys. I think the leaves are good. I think for now I'm gonna say the leaves are good. Let's grab our Ancient Oak and Naga Green and clean up that blorf there. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know if I'd ask her right now, Derek, because the thing is, right now, not even on my radar. And I can't afford to think about it because my brain is such that it likes new shinies, right? And it also likes to learn new things, right? But it also needs to write book frickin' 3. So the focused strategic part of Anne right now is going, no, Derek, please don't talk to your friend. Please don't get me distracted by this because I need to just focus on getting book 3 and probably book 4 out. It's probably going to be more than a year before we even look at this. I need 2 more books out, at least, because I won't have the audience depth or the audience size that I need to successfully fund a 12 or 15K Kickstarter to do this right. until that point at the minimum, and it might take us a couple years beyond that. Yeah, it is relatively low priority. Yeah, and yeah, my hamster wheel, well, it's more like focus is one of my superpowers, but the other parts of my brain love to run down bunny trails. And I know this. And sometimes I let them run down bunny trails, because you can't just shut off that part of your brain. Like the part of you that wants to have 3 miniatures going at once, and it really, really does. Let it do that every once in a while, but sometimes push those other 2 minis to the side and focus on the model, okay? Like, sometimes your focus has to win, or it gets grumpy. You know, if you're me, I have focus, so I'm like, and it is a superpower, actually. It's the knuckle down, get crap done. It's how I managed to finish 2 books. But yeah, so we can have it like, you know, I'll have it churning in the back of my head, how I might do the Kickstarter, how I might want to do it. And it may be that after I talk to some people, they're going to be like, no, really, a professional voice narrator, you won't really notice the difference if you have 2 separate people doing it in 2 separate places and blah, blah, blah. But then there is the part of me that really, really believes in high quality, which is why I spent the money on a developmental editor and a copy editor and a proofreader and a professional cover artist and all the rest of that crap, because I wanted my book to look like it came out of New York. And if I do audio, I'm going to want it to be good. So that means paying for it. So yeah, like that. That's where I am. Yeah, so right now, low priority, but keep that in your head, and I may poke at you in a while, depending on how things go with sales. Because before I even want to invest in that, and yes, I mean, some people on my self-published Reddit are like, but audiobook gives you a whole new audience. And it's like, well, it's a whole new thing to promote, a whole new thing to advertise, but it's also a big top dollar thing. It's like doing translations. Like, usually when established authors are talking about audiobooks, they're also like, these are the 2 most expensive things you can do as an indie author: translations and audiobooks. And it isn't like you can do one and you're done. You have to do them all. And you won't get success in those markets, just like writing the book in the first place. You will not find success in the audiobook or the translations market until you do a bunch of books, which means you're looking at quite a bit of money. Quite a high layout. So, not being independently wealthy, personally, being a starving artist, right? Well, non-starving artist. I'm a non-starving artist. But you know, I don't have thousands of dollars sitting around, especially not with all my medical testing coming up. Any thousands I have sitting around are about to be eaten by the MRI. But yeah, so at least that's what I'm preparing myself for. Maybe my insurance is better than I think. Yeah, Ancient Oak and Naga Green. And I've got my stuff in my way here. Boy, I've run out of places to stuff stuff. That's never good. You always need lots of places to stuff stuff. Former starving artist, yeah. Oh, fantasy worlds have a British accent. I was thinking about that this morning, Richard. If we have Derek do a reading, I'm like, oh, should I go for the very subtle British accent? Or ask Derek to go for the very subtle British accent? Because that's fantasy, right? It's so funny. Yeah, exactly. See, that's the thing. It's like, I want to do it right. To do it right costs a lot of money. I don't currently have a lot of money. If my books start really, like, doing decent, I will have the money to do it. And that's when most independent authors will go for it. Like, they'll be like, all right, I have the money to do my first 4 books, right? Or whatever. Or they'll put aside that money. But right now, we're still trying to even break even, right? That's the goal. That's why I say it's got to be at least 4 books out and probably more. Depending on how things go, how my advertising goes, and how many new readers we pick up in the next year or so. But I mean, I've got very humble goals here, guys. Like, I laid out my goals as an author for the next 2 to 5 years. And this first year, my goal was literally just to make, not even profit, because it's all just, it all goes to pay off all the costs of production at this point, but just to make $1,000 off my writing was this first year. And that's a very ambitious goal for a brand new writer. But we're going to get real close if we don't do it entirely. We're close. I think we're somewhere in the 800 to 900 range right now. So it's good. I should hit it. I think I should hit it by December. But yeah, to give you an idea, right? We're talking about what, $15,000 to do the first 2 books. And my second year, I put down I put down $2,000 for my writing. And then the third year, I put down $4,000. That's my goal. So you can see how slow I expect this to scale up. I do expect it to scale because I believe I'm writing really good books. And, I believe there's likely an audience out there for them. I could be wrong. I'll find out if I'm wrong by the 5th or 6th book. But it's going to take a while. It's just going to take a while. People, there are all sorts of, not just kids either, but just people who come onto the self-published forum and they're just like, wow, I want to make some money at this. And it's like, well, be ready to do it for years then. Years? Yeah, years. Years is how long it's going to take you, and that assumes you have a good product. The breakout is rare, and usually it's actually not a breakout. Like Andy Weir with The Martian, I have to actually go listen to a podcast on that. He was interviewed by somebody recently, and he was talking about the fact that he had to indie publish the Martian because nobody would take it. But he already had a platform when he launched that book on his blog. His blog was popular. It was a popular science space blog before he ever, started putting episodes of the book up. And it was precisely that kind of demographic that loved that book for all of its science factoids. So, I'm glad you say so, Zachariah. You just helped a little. Oh, good. Yay, Kodiak, thank you. Norwegian accents for Anne's books. That could be a little weird. It would have to be a real subtle Norwegian. Because if you get too hokey with it, the Norwegian, the Scandinavian countries' accents can sound a little bit wonky if you go too overboard with them. I say that, watching Overwatch League, where one of the desk is Swedish, and one of the desk is Swiss, and and there's lots of upper European players that I listen to interviews with. So I was thinking a very neutral accent. I honestly was thinking no real accent at all. You've got Norwegian cousins, so yeah. Yeah, we're building audience. We're definitely, the nice thing is that, in between launches, I know that anybody who picks up the book is likely to be a total stranger, right? You guys all tend to run out and get it, for which I love you, because you're my friends and fans and online fam. I'm just mixing up colors, so here we go. Here, let's just actually back up. That way I don't have to pull my palette completely out of position, just mostly. There we go. So, Ancient Oak, 2 drops of Naga green plus 2 drops of Ancient Oak. We're going to go straight up to Naga, and I'm going to drop some lemon yellow in it. Yeah, right, canon. All the Bear Kings sound like the Swedish chef. Yes, you could go wrong so easily with Northern European accents. You can totally do it. So, yeah. I think I wanted just very neutral. I always imagined them just that very, very neutral English. Not British, but, just so nobody can take offense at it. All right, lemon yellow, where are you? Or yellow mold. I'd be good with either of you. But yeah, so that's what my thoughts are. But yeah, I have faith I'd be there. If I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't have faith in my writing. I've had faith in my writing for a very, very, very long time. And that unshakable faith that I can find an audience for these books is what keeps me going. All right, and we're going to do one more. And I don't know how big the audience will be, but it doesn't have to be super big to make doing audiobooks feasible. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I wouldn't have known with your name that you had a soft spot for bears, Kodiak. It's funny because normally I'm a werewolf fan, but these books, they demanded the bears, and I love the bears. I love a certain bear very much. There we go. All right, we'll try this. That's going to be really pale. Don't know if I'm going to use it, but we'll have the option. But yes, looking forward, now that this book is out, now that the promo will hit for the other two over the weekend, which is actually the ideal time, supposedly, to book promos in the first place. And then I can stop thinking about it for a while. Just set up some new advertising. I'm going to grab my number one and my number one Winsor Newton and my number one Da Vinci Maestro. Very, very different brushes. And I can work on book 2. I can just put it out of my head and just work on book 2 and let the chips fall. So these are both number 1s. The one on the right is a Winsor Newton Series 7, number 1, and the one on the left is Da Vinci Maestro, number 1, Series 10. I need one of those deep kind of, deep dignified kind of voices. James Earl Jones. For the Bears. For Valaman, anyway. I don't know actors. That's one of my big... it's also a failing of mine, is that I typically do not remember actors at all. Unless they're, the obvious, really top-name ones. Or I take a liking to them because they're in one of my campy movies that I love. Like Daniel Craig, I've loved him since Tomb Raider. I'm so glad he got to be the new Bond. Because he was talented, and he deserved a good break, and he certainly hit it. But, alright, so... just had to block in that with the ancient oak down there. Still had some green stuff showing. I just need the edges of those leaves to be in shadow. I need to touch up that blorf now. Let's get our smaller brush. But... yes, warning, there are cry points. At least there are still points in book 2 that make me cry. Even though I wrote the dang things. Alright, so just taking that and kind of going over the top of that little blorf that we had. Yeah, let's just use the Sean Connery of in the 80s and early 90s. Sean Connery was in everything. We were just calling him Sean Connery movie god for a while. But yeah, any of the big names, I'm not gonna have the money to grab. And honestly, if we do audio, once I find a narrator that I really like, or a set of narrators, I'm going to want to stick to them. Because, they learned that with, what's his name? Fantasy author, urban fantasy, famous, detective, wizard, sorcerer, detective, please help me, you know who it is. What's his name? Oh, I love Where the Red Fern Grows. Yeah, Dresden Files, thanks. Yeah, when they made the mistake of going ahead and recording a book without Spike as the narrator, and the fandom rose up in a rabid wave of roar and refused to buy it and totally panned it. Yeah, so when you've got narrators who are working, you keep working with those narrators as long as you can. Yeah, right. Yeah, I loved Where the Red Fern Grows. I read that book so many times in high school.
grade school, high school. I think I read it originally in grade school. I was reading ahead of my age a lot when I was younger. It's probably why my prose style ended up the way it did. But yeah, so... Yeah, I don't remember what conflict came up, but they had to drop their normal... I say Spike because I just know him from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but I always forget what his real name is. But he had a schedule conflict, so they engaged a different person instead of pushing off the release, and the fandom was not amused. So just bringing in the highlights there so that we can cover up that little blorf and get a nice gradient. Yeah, James Marsden, that's right. Yeah, who is a really good voice actor, so I do not blame the fandom for rising up and informing the publishers that they made a big buoy. And then later they had him record it, and they just replaced the first recording with his. Kind of sad, honestly kind of sad for the replacement person, though, because, like, the replacement person was probably all excited going, cool, I get to narrate the Dresden Files, right? It's a great feather in your cap. And then to have, like, the audience be so unreceptive. If I was that voice actor, I'd be so sad. I would have to just put it out of my mind and move on. You know, these days, the fan base has more power than people like to admit. And that's what makes indie publishing feasible. Is because you guys and your friends and acquaintances and the other people who find the books can make a huge difference to a, starting out author like me, right? If I was traditionally published, the numbers that I'm putting up would mean that I would be just dropped. Like... If these were the numbers, if I had been picked up by New York after all, like if I'd gotten an agent and gone that route, and it had taken a while to take off, as I think these books will, I would end up being dropped and self-publishing the rest of the series anyway. Because that's what they'll do. But because I went indie, I have a lot more power to take my time, not be in a hurry, slowly build audience, write more books. Oh, well, The Witcher, come on. Henry Cavill is the freaking Witcher. He is, if you could have picked one iconic actor to be one iconic character, like, you had it. You had it right there. Like, every woman in the world fell over in a dead swoon if they were at all liable to when they saw him as the Witcher, okay? Anybody else you get, you're just doomed. You're just doomed. You just go ahead and get... You're just doomed. You're doomed. You're doomed. I mean, come on. Like, when you've got an actor who is, like, not only physically perfect and, like, just physically perfect, archetypically perfect for the role, and he reads the books and knows the character and loves the character, like, that's the perfect, like, that's chemistry. You can't mess with that magic. Alright, I think we're good on the green. I want to get she's got this gold band around her face, so I'm going to be bringing that up differently. I'm looking at those little leaflets, and I think I do want to get them colored. I don't know that I want them green after all. But I'm going to have to stop and think now, because I need to figure out if I'm bringing in any of these colors. I think I was going to go very red with her leather, as I think what my original plan was. And if so, then I want to keep that green right there. Maybe do fall colors for the little fletchings on this. I may change my mind on that, but... And I think I'm going to do this kind of weird. sure, Dogfather. I mean, at this point, he's kind of just doing what he wants to do, and he's producing the new 40K, right? So... Yeah, exactly, Kodiak, yes. even guys were not immune. Oh, lordy. Yeah, I think that Henry's just doing what he wants to now, because I think he's just got enough money that he can afford to say, like, yeah. He did want to keep on with Superman, but they decided not to. And this, you just can't, like, studio executives and decisions. I mean, who knows? Maybe somebody got a little peeved at his, like, you know, maybe he was negotiating a contract and they're like, you know what? No. You just don't know. Hollywood is weird that way. I mean, it's a weird dynamic in Hollywood. When I was studying script writing, I learned enough about Hollywood to be wary. But everybody in those companies thinks they can do it better than the other guy, so... So just doing a little bit more rounded of a highlight here. Yes, more creative. Yeah, right, because he should be able to demand it. Well, and that says to me he's going to end up being, like, director-producer more than he's going to be actor from here on out. Because, you know, with creative control, it's like, if that's what you crave, like, if what you really want to do, in Henry Cavill's case, is to create, like, worlds, right, for people, you're really gonna probably gravitate more toward that creator role, even more than acting. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where he goes in his career from here. I hope the new 40K is good for his sake. You can get in trouble with that, Pendrake, because then people are like, what's going on here? If I was painting the whole thing to be chameleon-like, maybe that would work. But I feel like I want to be able to control consistency of the color and be able to tell people what the material is. And I feel like color shifting it like that is where you can run into some problems with that. I think it would be easier to do on a bust than on this. But yeah, I was going to do the leaves different, but I'm just feeling like I want more warm colors. And I need to really think about some of these other colors. She's got, like, this sleeve on here. I think I'm going to do the armor all in really dark color to start with and bring it up. Because we don't have any real darks on this model, and one way to remedy that. I mean, the ancient oak is started out dark, but now we brought it up to more of a mid. So I'm gonna grab a color that I haven't grabbed for a long time. It's not a color I don't think it's a color that's in print, but I can tell you how to mix it. So we're actually going to use Corporeal Shadow, which is Corporea's color, Erin Hartwell. This is a color we made for ReaperCon eons ago. You can make this yourself. It's actually her own mix that she mixed ages ago, just for when she needed a cool shadow that covered well. So the way you mix Corporeal Shadow is it is equal parts walnut brown and sapphire blue, and it gives you a very cool, kind of neutral almost, a little bit bluish shadow. That's pretty neat. Having to reverse. Figure out that formula, by the way, was a pain in the butt. But yeah, so very happy with how the books are doing, personally, right now. I'm kind of hoping we'll see how long this nice spike lasts us, and I'll be watching it while I'm on the road. And then, of course, we'll have ReaperCon, and I'll be able to, like, probably drag a couple more people kicking and streaming into my books, because there will be people who are there who don't social media and who aren't on here and who probably don't even know I wrote a book. Or they knew and then they forgot. We'll make sure they remember. So I'm going to start, this is a very, very dark neutral. It's almost black. And has enough high density pigment in it that it should cover well. Been meaning to use this for a while. Oh, I want a little bit more, I think. I've got an extra drop of water in there, and I'm going to need to add more in here. Meeting time. Bye, Crowley! But yeah, so this is a pretty neat color. It's a lot like Blue Liner, but it's got better coverage, and it's a little more neutral, less intense blue. Yeah, this is my last stream, just so you guys know. I'm not going to stream on Saturday because I'm going to have so much packing to do, because I'm leaving early Sunday to make sure that I have time to get to Barstow well before later in the day, because I just have more energy earlier in the day for this driving game. Alright, so let's just look at this sucker. And I think I want to do everything here dark for starters. I recently did this, actually. I did it yesterday, kind of something similar. I'll show you guys, because I've been working on the videos aren't up on my Patreon yet, so if you're on my paint along tier, you'll get this video when I finish editing it today. But I like to start real warm armor types with a blue sometimes. It's interesting. It's visually interesting. And I'll show you the example from the bust that I'm doing for the paint along in a moment, after we get this line down. Oh! Anonymous Gifter gave you a gift sub. Awesome. Thank you, Anonymous Gifter. It is an interesting color. It's a muted blue-black. It's very, very useful shading color. So like I said, you can mix it yourself, just like Erin used to. She probably still has bottles of this lying around since we made her color for her. But walnut brown and sapphire blue. About a 50-50 mix, but you could also tune it. I'm going to leave that hawk shape at the top of the bodice. This is really dark in here, so I'm just going to shadow it in. But I want to leave that with a lighter backdrop so that I can bring it up actually pretty high with the gold. So we're going to put totally different colors over the top of this blue. I do, however, for the record, I love blue, green, and red together. So I'm totally playing to that right now. My little Ian preferences. Alrighty, now let's look at what she's got all this stuff all over her. All this armor. And it's all finicky. Finicky, finicky armor. So finicky. That's why I feel like I want to paint it all dark first. And sometimes when you've got all this, just all this stuff, this little bits and pieces, sometimes painting it all dark takes you down a level of anxiety. Like if you're just like, oh my god, what am I going to do with all that? But if we cover it all up with dark, then we can just take white and kind of pick out the highlight areas and what we're going to bring up. And everything else just kind of fades into the background. So sometimes when it's like that, I just will do this. I will just grab a dark color and paint it all up. Then go and tackle each individual little bit. It's not a spider, it's a skull, Pendrake. Oh. Sub ran out midstream, see a subscriber remote went away. Yeah, I think it's 1-to-1 Turgeon, as I recall. But this does have a pretty strong blue cast, so it might actually be more like a 2-sapphire blue. But I think it's 1-to-1. I really do. I don't remember. It's been a long time. It's been years and years since I made this color, so... But yeah, there's just so much crap on her that I'm just like, you know what? Everything's going to be blue. Then we're just going to go over it with other colors. Yes, a skull crab. I agree. When it's so tiny. I don't anymore, Kodiak, but I used to. It's harder for me to see the details going dark to light, and I hate how I have to fight to bring stuff up. But now that I underpaint a lot, it's less of a thing. So it's like, it's not so much I'll be going dark to light here. I will be doing underpainting, which I feel doesn't count, because if you're laying down some white and then you're painting over it, it's not really dark to light anymore. We have actual broccoli on this model. That's how old she is. Or how old the sculpt is. Although she was a warlord, so this is fresh broccoli. Fresh broccoli instead of aged broccoli. You aged broccoli. You. Speaking of which, I need to pick up some broccoli today, because I think we're having teriyaki chicken tonight. I made a tri-tip yesterday and burned myself. That's why I've got this lovely Band-Aid. I was trying to keep the nuclear hot cast iron away from Papa, and of course I've been using an in-oven thermometer lately. So the cord got weird, and I tilted it, and then it totally slipped out of my grasp and hit my finger. So 450 degree cast iron on Anne's finger. And I was just like, I need you, because David's over at the table working, and he's like, and then he came over, he's like, what do I do? To be fair, I managed to somehow juggle it, and I managed to not scorch the floor, because at one point the hot cast iron was actually in contact with our hardwood floor. Because I just couldn't hold it up with one arm. I'm not that, with that handle, I'm just not that strong yet with this arm. Because cast iron's heavy, you guys, and this is a big cast iron. So I'm not manly enough or womanly enough yet, despite my CrossFit, to heft that cast iron with one hand. At least not for a prolonged period of time. But yeah, so we managed to escape with myself partially melted, my finger partially melted. Luckily it's my offhand, because my main hand had the main mitt on the actual handle of the cast iron, and my other hand had a little, I use little grippers on the short handle of the cast iron. I usually take it out of the oven with 2 hands. But yeah, it was active dog plus just bad luck that little gripper slipped when I tried to keep the pan away from the Kiki and untangle the in-oven thermometer at the same time. But yeah, I was pretty much on the ice on that immediately. So I have those. I have both, Pendrake. I was using both a silicone handle and a silicone glove, and the handle slipped because I was trying to keep the thing away from Kiki and also keep the wire from touching me because it was super hot. It's not like I don't do this, a lot. And it's not like I haven't worked with cast iron at least once a week, if not more, for, years. This is the first time I've burned myself. So you can give me a little cred. It was a freak incident. Yeah, it was that the little grip slipped off of the short handle as I was trying to keep it away from the Kiki and keep the wire from burning me. from the in oven thermometer, because it had flipped unpredictably. So, yeah, like I said, I've been using the cast iron for many years, and I've always lifted it out of the oven with these. I've never had a problem before. It's just a freak thing. Like, cast iron is my preferred cooking tool, so I am not a noob. But yeah. So I did manage to get ice on it really fast. I still did CrossFit last night with my melted finger. Luckily, it was not... if it had been a CrossFit thing that had required that particular finger to be used a lot, I would have gone home. But although there was weightlifting, it did not put a lot of pressure on that finger. So I got through it pretty well. It actually feels fine today. It looks okay. I think I'm still going to get a blister, but it's going to maybe take a couple days. Could have been worse. Could have been a lot worse. Oh, yeah. Well, this is a pretty big one. I won't take off the... I mean, I was in contact with a full second probably on that pan. It was not good. But yeah, I feel it, turgid. Yeah, it's just we're going to have to bar the Kiki from the kitchen. We normally do, but for some reason she was nearby and got distracted. And then, of course, as the pan is flailing around, we still have to, like, be shoving the dog out of the way while I'm trying to keep from, being burned again. So, it was just kind of a comedy of errors at that point. Alright, so we've got all of that darked in. Now I can see her body well. I don't think there's anything else I want to dark. I'll probably go with a red. I may redo this accent up here, although I may keep the green. I'll think about it. But here on the quiver is where some autumn color might work very well. Opposite the hair. We'll see. I'm looking forward to picking up some models at ReaperCon for the show. Oh, interesting. Broccoli is off the menu. Yeah, that's funky. Maybe it's the sulfur in it, Trash. Because it is a very sulfurous vegetable. It's a bummer. I like broccoli. I actually like it quite a bit, both raw and cooked. Alright, so now I'll show you guys what I did. Yes, Reaper is awesome with customer service. We're small enough that we can still be pretty cool. So this is what I did on my video the other day. So this is, I really like using blues. You can see the blue for leather. I did this last on a fire giant a long time ago. But so essentially we've got the light source coming from the face side, and I had Zenith Prime on this. So you're able to bring up the brown, the really rich brown of the leather in line with the light sourcing. And it looks really cool from the front where you get that blue shadow, that cool shadow. So it's kind of that leather where you've... it's like a really dark leather, but when the sun hits it, it kind of lights up. Like, it goes through that kind of oil coating on the armor, that outside skin of the armor, and really kind of just lights it up, almost like it's a little translucency still in the hide. It's just a very nice effect. So that's what I'm kind of doing a 28 on this lady. I'm gonna, obviously I don't have the room to really do well at it and put texture and all that, but yeah, I think she's working out really well. This is a really nice bust. And I wanted to go with the warm browns because it's going to make this cream work. So the cloth will go to cream. She's got a lot to do, but we've gotten a lot done on her. She's really lovely. So that's what I'm thinking of for this armor, except it won't go quite as orange gold, I think. But we're going to take probably, what is this doing up here? Your home is down in this. We'll probably take ruddy leather, which I don't remember if I returned to its proper place. Yes, I did. Cool, fresh armor. She's actually we found I think it was Pendrake who found this reference, but there's a alternate D&D race trash called Dusk Elves, and there's a specific piece of concept art that we based her skin color and hair color on. And I wasn't convinced that it was going to work. Let me see here. Looking to see if I can find the references quickly. Here we go. There we go. So this was our reference. Oh, it was Ruben, I think, who brought that up. But yeah, so I decided that was weird enough that I thought it was neat, so that's what it's based on. But it's something called a Dusk Elf. So that blue skin and the red hair, which I really didn't know if it was going to work. Like, I was like, at this scale, I really was not sure. But she ended up looking really cool and really unique, so it's interesting that you thought drow. Because I always think of drow as white hair, dark skin. No, it wasn't you, Pendrake. Sorry, it was Ruben. I found the reference when I found the photo. Alright, so let's get some ruddy leather here. You could also use oxide brown, which is what I used on the bust, which is a little bit different. The ruddy leather's a tiny bit darker because it has a bit more black in it. It has black in it at all. Sorry, the oxide brown doesn't have black in it at all. So ruddy leather has some black in it. It also has some red oxide in it. So it's a little bit different of a mix. Oh, jeez. Like the AI thing. Yeah. I don't even know where I land on that. But we can. It's probably, at this point, yeah. Ugh. I have friends who are absolutely against it. And I have friends who are, like, much more balanced opinion about it. And I just don't know where I land at this point. I think it's a tool like any other. I think we opened a Pandora's box, and now we have to figure out how the Pandora's box integrates with our society. Alright, let's get this ruddy leather mixed up. And then I'm going to start layering it onto this. Now, it's going to be dark if I do it straight up. I'm going to do a couple different versions so you guys can see the difference with the underpainting. I want one more drop of that, I think. Yeah, and I mean, I'm an artist, so, and a writer, so obviously I'm also biased. But weirdly, I haven't decided what side I'm biased toward. I just, I mean, I have a horse in the race for sure, but I'm still like trying to keep an open mind. Anyway, unfortunately, discussing AI is too close to politics, and so we're going to dump that discussion, guys. Sadly, it has gone that way. Because I don't want us arguing with each other. Most I will say is read about it and make your own opinion. Yes, walnut brown and sapphire blue. There we go. Oh, is Carnico? No, she's not here. So I checked out that Taylor Swift cover that Carnico recommended yesterday for Antihero. I have to say it's really good. And it's also like really good because when the problem with a lot of like modern music and Taylor's songs, when I tend to listen to them, is if there's a lot of like production on it, then often I have trouble like hearing all the lyrics the first time round. Like I have to listen to the song several times to get all the lyrics, or I have to look. I guess she does lyric videos, which makes sense because like with all the production, you really can't hear all the lyrics, and she's actually a really good songwriter. But the thing I liked about this cover is that I could clearly hear all of the lyrics. He was doing it a little down tempo with just a piano. I thought it was a very good cover, so I need to tell her that thanks for the recommend because I played it for David, and he's like, I like her version better, and I'm like, I don't know that I do. I think David's getting to be a Taylor Swift fan. I think it's really funny. You won't be there this year, Doug? Alright, so let's get some white mixed up, and then I can do this ruddy leather over the top, and we can finish at least showing you guys the two options before the end of the stream. I will be there driving with the Keekster. I'm going to be putting all of my power to getting us there safely, there and back safely. I'm going to do just a 4-to-1 on the white. I guess I could do a 2-to-1. No, I want 4-to-1 because I'm going against black. But yeah, leaving Sunday, we'll be out of communication. Gonna have to drop a note on the Patreon. I'll probably take a picture at ReaperCon, maybe of the Keekster, and post it with an update. But I won't be able to put any new Patreon content up for like, it won't be up till the middle of the month probably, because I need to start creating it all when I get back, and I'm getting back like at the 8th on the 8th, so I won't be in any shape to do anything probably until that following Monday. Yeah, lots of eating audio. That's cool, Turgeon. You're off shows. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's good, Trash. I mean, sometimes it's nice to have that. I mean, the puppy kind of made me take a year off shows, and honestly, I was okay. I was okay with it. That's funny. The Kiki fan. All right, so let's put the leather color over the blue on one side, and then let's do the underpainting on the other side. You can see how it shows up. It's really interesting, but it is quite dark, so just put that highlight down the front of the leg. Then I'm going to do the white on the other side. Here, Roger. So doing just a little bit. Could have thinned my white more, but I decided not to because I wanted it to go pretty fast. And we'll do that, and then we'll bring that on. And then you put that over the top. And what happens, and it's interesting because the ruddy leather is pretty high coverage, but you can see how you get a much warmer, you get that warmth right away when you put down the white first. And then on this one, it's much more subtle. You get more of a purpley color almost. And you do retain a bit more of the blue feel on this one. So just that's the difference in those two approaches. Either one can be used. On the bust that I did this on, or something like this on, I was working with Zenith. So it was a black to white gradient. So back here where I put the blue down was definitely black primer. And then as it moved around into the Zenith prime, you can see that up here on the strap, where the white is. Then it was much easier to bring these colors up, much warmer. So, and that's the same with this. Traveling can be just stressful. So I don't blame anybody who decides not to go. It's nice to meet the people that do come, but I mean, I like hanging out with you guys virtually too, so. I have plenty of friends who I am perfectly happy talking with virtually. Some people have that must meet people in person thing. I don't. So I'm going to grab a little bit of this oxide yellow, and I'm going to pop some of this ruddy brown into it. I'm just thrilled that I'm actually bringing, even though it's going to take up a ton of room, I'm bringing Kiki's bedtime crate. So she can't jump on the bed at 6 a.m. to wake me up when she hears somebody else in the hotel waking up, across the hall or something. Alright, so I'm mixing these colors together. You can see them right there. So this is the ruddy leather and oxide brown, or oxide yellow, sorry, 9331, which is a pure pigment color with a little bit of white. It's a good highlight for this. Now this would be a lot more muted than that color that I had on the elf bust because you've got black in here, and that's what means that it won't be as vibrant. You've got black in the ruddy leather. Doing a little blending in the side here. So now let's get this highlight on here. Hello, Inara. How is it going? I'm going to sit down, do a lot of editing on my Patreon stuff today, and then everything is packing. Everything. My world becomes packing. In between checking my KDP dashboard to see how the book promos are going. But there's much packing. At first I have to stage all my containers, and then I have to start splitting stuff up. before you face pillow. Hey, Jazz, yeah, it's good to see you. We're doing here, I'm doing this on the leather here. But I'm doing it at a much smaller scale here. I'm going to want to get a little closer here. In focus. But yes, I am all about the packing soon. Like, I'm really going to work at getting these videos edited as expediently as I can today, because then the great packing begins. And if I can get a lot of it kind of sorted by the end of tonight, then that's perfect, because then tomorrow I can just pretty much figure out how everything's going to fit. Yeah, oh, we also did this leaf cloak. Leaf cloak. This is all painted, except I sculpted some extra little leaf tips down here. But yeah. You know, you could try to plan for it, Turgeon. I mean, it depends, right? But it is, if it's expensive, if it's an expensive trip for you, I mean, it's not like it's necessary. You're still a really supportive Reaper fan. And we all appreciate you, so. You do not have to blow the monies to come to the con for us to appreciate you more. We will appreciate you the same. So just stippling here to bring a little bit of texture in on that. We can see how that comes up then, even from the blue. And I can keep this dark blue or double down on it with the boots and make them blue-black leather, so that would be nice. Still keeping this pretty dark. Now, as I bring this up, it'll necessarily kind of like, it'll bring this up more into the range of this. So I want to keep my shadows really dark to make sure that everything shows up well against everything else. Yes, we'd rather you spent it on paints and minis anyway. That's funny. Funny but true. But yeah, you do not need to come to ReaperCon to be a valued member of our community. It'd be that way. Alright, so now if I underpaint that knee pad. Yeah, we hit the top. East of the Sun got higher than it did at its launch yesterday, Jazzian. Got in the top 30,000 of the Amazon store, top 100 in several categories. And then West of the Moon was number 2 new release for a while in coming of age children's fantasy. So I have a bit more. West of the Moon is probably topped out. I've done most of my promo. I think I've done almost all of my promo, unless I decide to post on Instagram about it. But I've hit everything else. But East of the Sun still has 2. It's on sale right now. For the ebook is 99 cents until the 29th. So I still have 2 promos hitting over the weekend for East of the Sun, which will hopefully get us some new readers introduced to the series, and maybe eventually they'll pick up West of the Moon. So yeah, that's a pretty good place to be. I wanted this book to do better than my first launch, and it seems like it did. It definitely got to a higher rank in the store. So we will just keep working at it. I'll be very happy if I don't think I'm going to make my newsletter subscribers goal for the year, for my first year, but you know, you never know. I wanted 100. I've only got like 32. But it's hard to build your newsletter just because, you know, only a fraction of your readers will ever want to sign up for your newsletter. But it's all right. I mean, if I don't make one of my goals, that's fine too. It just teaches me what more like realistic expectations are for the following year. But I think I'm going to make my money goal, and that's great. And I definitely am going to make my book goal. Obviously, I've got my 2 books out for this year, and next year I'll try to write 3. Yes, yes. Yeah, I'm hoping. Yeah, this with these two books, this story is concluded. I'll write more books in the world, but they won't you don't have to read them in order. Although reading them in order is beneficial, but you wouldn't have to enjoy the stories. You might have to just check up on what might have happened, but I'm going to try to touch base. Hi, Kiki. Did you hear that Jazzian was here, and did you want to say hi to her? Hold on. Here, come on up. Come on up. She never gets to see you live. Get up here. Get up here. Up, 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 pop. Oh, you can do it. Come on. Come on. Come on, Bubba. Come on. You don't want to? Sometimes it's wobbly. Sometimes she doesn't want to because she's wobbly. Oh, you don't want to wobble on the thingy? You don't want to? It's solid. I swear it's solid, Keeks. You want me to sit down so you can get on my knee? Let's try that. Sometimes we'll do that. You and me? Good girl. I've got you there. Now Jazzian can see what a monster you are. What a monster. Oh, such a monster. Oh, so monster. Monster dog. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Ah, I'm being attacked. I'm being attacked by a monster. There we go. Now you get to see her live. Yay! Good girl. All right, I'm going to put you down. Good girl. No, no teeth. No, no teeth. And toothy. She's still such a puppy. But yeah, and I think she's finally done shedding. Finally, well, almost. But you know what I mean. She's done blowing coat for the most part. We have to give her a bath on Saturday, so she'll be all nice and clean for the con. Awesome. Super. I know how you love the puppers. So I had to give you a live Kiki sighting since you're here. Since you're friggin', gosh, are you 12 hours away from us? You're like on the other side of the world. It's amazing that you're even here. But yes, the Keekster appearance. She's checking on me because she knows it's almost walk time. Yeah, 2 a.m. where you are. That's what I thought. So trying to put that up. Getting a little bit of, there we go. I'm going to push this out of there. Yeah. So if I want this to really show up, I'm going to have to probably bring my highlights up a lot. We went from a very light, a lightish mini to a much darker mini now that I've put this in, which I'm not adverse to, actually. I kind of like it. Because if she's a ranger in the shadowy forest, having dark armor is actually cool. Yeah, the thing about it, Jazzian, is I've been warning people who meet her at ReaperCon. She does not like strangers to reach for her. So she's perfectly, she's a confident dog otherwise. But she wants to meet you on her terms, and she will shy away for sure if you reach for her before it's appropriate in her mind. But I'm fine with that for the most part. I'm okay with that in a dog. I don't really want the dog that's being crazy obnoxious to people all over the place. But yeah, Keeks, I'm pretty happy with how Keeks is turning out. I think that once she matures a bit more, she's still, if there's a really loud sudden noise, she's still just what was that, But I think as she, because we've been taking her so many different places and she's been experiencing a lot of stuff. She really didn't like the ferry in Seattle because the horn, the big horn was right over our heads where we were out on the deck, and that was so loud. She just kind of, she just sunk down to the deck. She did not enjoy that. But otherwise, she was pretty good on the ferry. So we'll bring up the light in some places and as we go so that we can get all of this stuff to show up nicely. And I'll be putting some gold edging on stuff too. Yeah. No, she likes people. She'll ninja sniff you. If you turn around as if you're going to walk away, she will totally come right up to you then and stick her nose sniff, 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 sniff. So she's not scared of you. She just doesn't want you to grab her, right? Oh no. Yep. Friday the 8th I should be back on Turgeon. I should get home Thursday and fall over, and I should be able to resurrect myself enough to be here on the 8th. Cool, Richard. Yeah, I just like the really cool shadows and bringing that that armor up. But you can see how it is darker. It looks very dark, even with the white underpainting. And that's just starting with that dark base coat. It's the effect you're going to get. And the skin stands out really well against everything because the rest of it is dark. But now this is actually a good lesson in warm and cool because the green had a cool base coat, right? A bluish green, ancient oak. But then it got very warm, right? But then, now once we do this armor, the green is going to look cool. And the armor is going to look warm because the armor is going up from the red to the golden color. But at the same time, the armor is also more muted than the green. So it's like, it's going to be very interesting. It's all, warm and cool is always relative to what you put next to it. Kiki, what are you doing? Did you put your bully underneath my bookshelf? You dork. Am I going to have to rescue that? The dog. All right. Yes, exactly. You put out a hand for her to sniff and you kind of turn to the side and she's fine. If you get down on the floor, she'll probably come up and sniff you just fine. Yeah. You diggy puppy, what are you doing? She put her bully stick under my bookshelf. I'm going to have to go rescue it. She's such a silly puppy. You're such a silly puppy. So silly. How you get so silly? I didn't raise you to be this silly. She's like, you totally did. You totally did, Mama. Ah, diggy puppy. All right. It's nearly finished. Yeah. Cool. Yep. Safe travels to ReaperCon, everybody. When we return on the Friday, we'll be working more on sculpting our griffin head. And hopefully a brazier to go atop it. So we've got it started, just blocked in. So now we need to put a layer of green stuff over everything and actually do some sculpting to give our northern warrior babe a cool promontory to be standing off of. And then, yeah, I might do a griffin on the back of her cape. I'm still deciding. Yeah, we'll do ears. We'll do ears sweeping back here and connecting with the ground where she is. So that'll be cool. Yeah, a lot of dogs don't like. She's very sensitive to space. And that's why, yeah, when people lean over her, she just does not like it. Hasn't since she's a small pup. So all right. Yes. I shall do everything in my power to drive safe and get Kiki and I to and from the ReaperCon intact. Hopefully, having a couple of shorter legs on the road trip will help me keep me from being tired. But yeah, thanks everybody. Thank you. Yeah, I get to see the Quindy in person. Yeah, I'm glad you can make it too, Jez. Yep, I will see a bunch of you next week. Thank you all again for buying my book and for leaving reviews. When you have time. You won't have time till after ReaperCon, I'm sure. But yes, drive safe, everybody. Fly safe, everybody. And I will see many of you very, very soon. Yay, ReaperCon! Have a good one, and I'll talk to you later.